Hello, Valheim players, and welcome. We join you in the early mornings of Valheim, of which we shall start by having a snack. Welcome to Portal House Tour. So, we're going to show off just kind of where each of these portals led in the world. I'm going to quickly pop up the map just to give a context of where 100 and some hours kind of covered. You can see there's a fair amount of places we've gone, places we've been, bosses we found, and just general sailing to the edge of the world. So, probably the first one we'll want to go through is the first swamp. So here we find ourselves where I first came about my experience with a swamp biome. The nice part was has circlings for circling cores, but it was on just the edge, so we were edge of the Black Forest going into the swamp itself, able to actually build a small fortification. The idea being simply, this is a space if I have to respawn at, if I had to come back to, I could. Nothing too special about the swamp itself, as there was no bone mass, there was no major items there to chase after. Of course, after that, we see the actual bone mass teleport. And this particular section is just a portal. It's quite literally a beat-up house in the middle of a swamp with bone mass being just south of us. I hadn't even done the majority of the actual map for this island. I had essentially landed here, done some exploring on that side, done some exploring in the plains, and that's as far as we went. Because really, it was just trying to complete the boss to continue progressing through the game. From there, we have the shop. So this may have come up in previous YouTube videos, as this was actually the place where I spent a significant amount of time collecting core wood. It's also the island where the Elder is. You can see the shop is just up the hill there. You can actually see I've essentially clear-cut an entire path down to the Elder. And this was just a beachside, seaside landing so that I could quickly load up my materials, load up everything I needed, and get from A to B as quickly as possible. And of course be able to buy things with the money that we'd accumulated. This next one is the deforest, and I called it as such, as you'll see in a second. This is a meadows biome where I collect, store, and clear cut for all my wood. Now, it has a small homestead, has a small boar section. Raising was essentially planned to be another addition to the island. If I could connect the two, I would have, because they are not very far away. For context, this is where we are, and my base is just right here. So if there was a way to nicely connect up, I would. Unfortunately, without doing significant cheats, there wasn't. So this just became, anytime I needed wood, lumber, or other materials of that sort, this is where I came to get them. Now working our way to the second level. Here we have the Southland and we have Drowtown. Southland, quite simply, just a small town, and as we see, allows me just to go a little bit south of my particular base. Mostly Black Forest, once again, just for material collecting. Nothing too crazy here. In fact, this house was only slightly upgraded from the dilapidated homestead that it was when I originally came here, just so that I could use it for a workbench and a potential place to stay. Grab a couple mushrooms on the way out. Teleporting once again. We then have Drowtown. This was perhaps one of the most interesting finds. There's a YouTube video on it over on my channel, because I didn't know this could happen. So here we see there's not too much. It's literally just the portal out in the middle. And as we come into this town, I thought, it's a Meadows. Wonderful. A Meadows is perfect. It has all the material I need. It has all the different items I need. But each of these buildings didn't have material or items in it. It had Draugr. Now, they do occasionally respawn, so it does get a little bit creepy coming through here. Usually most of them spawn in here. Yep. And it actually has a Draugr spawner inside the middle of that Great Hall. So I thought that was interesting, because it's your draw enemies just on the edge of the swamp in a Meadows. So it made me realize that there was that risk that if we'd come there too early, or gone to a zone like that too early, even though it's marked as Meadows, it really is closer to being a swamp. Here, the mountain. This was the closest mountain to my particular base. So, made a small homestead, a few fireplaces. Nice and slightly sealed off. And this was for getting silver, for collecting materials, and as you can see by the death mark, getting absolutely destroyed from time to time as well. Last and not least, dragon. So this particular spawn or perhaps not last, second to last. This particular spawn was simply a castle that I threw a few pieces up to protect myself. Nothing crazy at all, but it gave me a spot to take on Motor. And as you can see, they actually destroyed a bunch of this, because this was sealed in at one point. So that concludes Portal House as a secret, I guess, last Easter eggy teleport. There is, of course, the teleporter down here near our honey, which you see has no actual connection. This, of course, is just tagged as 4444. This is my teleport for whenever I'm exploring. So if I find something interesting and I needed to warp back to home to pick up material, to pick up items, that's exactly what this particular portal was for. So guys, that concludes a quick rundown of all of the different portals in Portal House, where they all head to, what they're all connected for, and of course concludes another visit into the old world of Valheim. So thank you, and we'll see you guys in the next one.